love that, opportunity goggles. As a writer as well, just that little phrase, it's a really, really nice phrase. Opportunity goggles. I reckon we found the title of your book there.
Have you? Well done, you.
Yeah.
I wasn't even looking.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to the Christmas special edition of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. This is... what is this, Chase? Year number 7 of doing this? Year number 8? I've lost track by now.
I was in our YouTube channel and there's over 500 odd videos, which is very, very interesting. I know there's lots of in-between episodes and I know there's lots of podcasts and stuff, but yeah, there's over 500 videos in there, which I thought, that's rather amazing.
That is fantastic, isn't it? I mean, we had our 100th proper episode last year, wasn't it? It wasn't even this year.
No, it was last year, yeah.
Crikey. Anyway, what else has been going on this year? For those who haven't partook in a Christmas special before, this is where we don't have a guest on. We just have a bit of a chinwag and a natter about what's gone on this year, what we said was likely to happen this year last year, what book Jason's read this year, and what books, plural, I've read this year. It's the same joke. I rinse it off every year.
Every year it comes out, and every year I'm astounded that you remembered it.
Oh dear. So yeah. So what's been the kind of themes of this year? Would you say?
Themes of this year, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on in my book of the year. But I think vision and values has been something that's been kind of the drum that's been beaten quite a lot within the 1% Club. I think lots of different people discovering their vision and their values of their company and implementing them to good effect, making that work for them. We see that that's the basic foundation for most businesses, in fact all businesses, and that lots of people don't give that any thought at the start or even halfway through their business, and it kind of like actually makes that big old difference as to where that the business goes, the team members they take on, the staff that they have, the customers that they have, the products they serve. It all kind of all revolves around that. So for me, that would be the key thing for the year, I think, vision and values.
Do you think that's because we're getting old?
Yes. It probably is. Yeah, it got something to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, this came on my radar through writing The False Exit. So False Exit came out last year, 2023. So I spent sort of the back end of 2022, front of 2023 writing that. And I knew that values was going to be a part of that. I knew that actually, imparting your values onto the people who are going to be running your business for you is important. But I thought that was going to be like a chapter, quite a short chapter at that. And the more I kind of read and researched it and thought, actually, do you know what? This is the foundation of the entire framework. And it ended up being an entire section. And as you say, we keep going back to it now and just saying, anytime, people are saying, I've got a decision to make. Okay, what do your values say? What would align with your values? I've got a problem with this member of staff. And how often is it, people on the bus? And we hear now, they've just got different values to us. They don't think the way we do, where they don't believe what we believe. And certainly knowing what we know now, I think my default answer now is if the values are misaligned, they've got to go. I don't care how good they are at their job. I don't care if they're the best salesperson in the team. I don't care if their results are brilliant. If their values are misaligned with yours, you are pulling in a different direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that goes the same for customers and clients. I mean, various times during our time, we're attracting the right kind of people into the 1% Club. And actually that's done via our vision and values and how we present ourselves out to the wider space, through the podcast, through the YouTube channels, through our emails, through our ecosystems. And actually it's never surprises me that the key people that we have in the 1% Club all share the same kind of attributes that we would want from each other in the club. They all, value each other as much as their own business. They're all givers. They're all wanting to see everybody else succeed, and they all have advice they're happy to share. They all, even people in the same sector, will share advice. The lifting of a boat, rising tide, and all that. It's just something that kind of like filters through all of our club members. And I think we were just interviewing for our last set of board members, or our next set of board members, and someone said, "Well, who's in the group? Because I want people in there like me." It's like, well, why would you think there isn't somebody in there like you? Because you know who's in the 1%, you know the people that are there, you know our vision and values. You're going to trust us to make sure that our boardroom is formed of the people that will be just like you and have that share your same vision and values. And yeah, that to me just kind of sums up that whole point, I think.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that strikes me was we had a few weeks ago, we invited a couple of 1%ers down to the football. We took them to enjoy the amazing football and hospitality at Wayne Rooney's Plymouth Argyle Football Club, as it's now officially known. Or seems to be. And this member said to us, you guys, i.e. me and you, Jace, are either the best actors in the world or you genuinely give a shit about people. It's like, yeah, that is it. We've designed this model because we're really good at acting. Sorry, no. Anyone who's ever seen me...
One of us isn't. You can have their own views as to which is which.
Well, I once did a promotional video when I was in the civil service, and I had one line, which was, "Did you see the football at the weekend?" And it was the most wooden performance you've ever seen. So I'm definitely not able to be a really, really good actor. But is that word genuine? And, I picked up on it again a few years ago where I think it might have been the same person even said, like, you guys are really genuine. What I love about this club is how down to earth, and yeah, genuine and real it is, that you've got real business owners who genuinely care for each other. And that shines through because, again, that's our values. And we've created this club from day one to mirror those values. And we only want to work with people who share those values, because if people come into the club and they have different values, that's hard work for us, isn't it? We hate that.
It's hard work for us. They don't fit in. It's hard work for them. It's hard work for the members trying to understand how to get them to fit in. And it doesn't work. So yeah, lots of our marketing is about making sure that those people don't find their way through our doors. And that's important. So dear listener, what's your vision for your company? What is it you'd like to portray? What do people think about you and your company? And what are your values? How do you present them every day? How do you live and breathe your values? That's the question for you guys to ponder over, and maybe leave them in the comments on either our YouTube channel or through our Facebook group or anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a common question, is it? How do you find your values? I remember when I was researching again for the false exit, it's Jim Collins. Everything goes back to Jim Collins, doesn't it? He said, you don't choose values. You don't decide what values we're going to have. You really look introspectively and say, what values do we have? What do we believe in? What would we fight to the death to protect? And one question I really liked, which Jim Collins asked, was, which of your values would you still have if it was unprofitable to have that as a value? And I think I used the example in retention for sorry, I'm dropping my new book automatically there. The false exit, sorry. I used the example there of I think it was an executive or someone, might have even been a founder at a cigarette company, who his values were, I love smoking. Smoking is fantastic. It's brilliant. I adore it. And that is a true value, because that's not a popular value to have. That's not, we're customer focused. We are low prices. Ryanair can say low prices is our values. No one's going to disagree with that. If Michael O'Leary says customer service is our value, we all go, bullshit. No, it isn't. But the two can't, Jeff Bezos would say, yeah, low prices is our values too, but also we're the Earth's most customer-centric company. Two companies, very, very different values, but also sharing the same value. So what else has been going on in the wider world this year? We started the year with inflation.
We had inflation.
Rampant.
it was going a bit crazy, wasn't it? That's come down. We've had a change of government. It's going back up.
By the time this comes out in 2 weeks, it could be double digits again, couldn't it? Let's face it.
It could well be. Lots of challenges in that. You think a change of government, they're all much of a muchness and things like that. But actually, again, those visions and values that the previous government had are not aligned to the ones that the current government have got. And actually, their outlook on life is completely different. And it's just interesting to see how that's communicated out and the decisions they're making and things like that. I'll come back to that in our next section.
No, that's very interesting now, because as you say, you have got two governments who have polar opposite. I know they're always going to be because they're on opposite sides, but really, really polar opposite values. So it is only natural that things are going to be and feel very different than they were 6 months ago. I would argue that at the point of the election, and I really don't want to get political on this podcast. It's not.
Oh, you don't?
Very angry, but I would question. I would say, Labour's values were pretty clear. I knew what they were. Conservatives, did they have values? Were they well communicated? Were they?
It's really interesting, because I would have said the other way around. So don't argue with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have said the other way around. We didn't really know what Labour was all about. They just weren't the Conservatives. The Conservatives were.
That was their greatest value. What? I mean, to be fair, that was their biggest USP and their biggest selling point, and they knew it.
The only thing they had.
I think we remember saying 18 months before the election that all Keir Starmer had to do to win the election was keep his mouth shut, wasn't it?
That's pretty much what we said last time around, yeah.
But without getting too political, it is interesting that we can have that different interpretation, because I really sat there going, I don't know what the Conservatives stand for, and I felt I knew what Labour stood for, and you felt the opposite. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I know what that's based on. Is that, are we digesting different sources of material there? Have we interpreted it differently? Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it?
You don't have news channel. That may.
No, I block out all news.
You don't listen to any of the news, so that may influence what you hear.
Slightly, yeah. I voted for Boris Johnson, and Boris Johnson didn't get in for some reason. I couldn't even see him on the ballot paper. Did you know Matthew Perry's died?
Oh, I think we found that out last week. Last episode, yeah.
That could be a reason, is I do not see a lot of news, so maybe I do filter it through.
And interest. If you hadn't got the interest in it either, then you wouldn't necessarily know. So you're kind of hearing some things that are kind of fed to you, and whoever's feeding them. So there's that piece as well. Yeah. Interesting though, isn't it?
yeah, could be. And I think also I'm possibly more attuned to values stuff now, that if I see a news article and the headline tells me this is what someone thinks about and this is their values. So sorry, I must apologise to anyone who's listening to the audio podcast, because I've just done 3 seconds of silence whilst waving my finger in the air, because I've realised why I believe that I had an understanding of Labour's values. I listened to a podcast interview with Sir Keir Starmer on the High Performance Podcast, where he talked about his upbringing, why he felt the way he did about certain topics, how his father influenced him, what he was hoping to do. If this was a year before the election, and I listened to that, I didn't hear anything from Rishi Sunak other than I don't know how to fill up a bloody car with fuel.
You see, his dad was a pharmacist, and he's not a toolmaker. Sure, that was shoved into us all the time.
Yeah. I heard the origin story. I heard, I listened to an hour-long long-form interview about values. If that had been about policies or, their economic outlook, I probably wouldn't have listened to it. But because it was billed as, here's how Keir Starmer would like to change the country if he's elected in a year's time. Interesting. So there we go.
Interesting.
Note to any politician out there.
Did mention the killing off of pensioners or the killing off of farmers?
Yeah, he said he was hoping. No, I'm not.
Killing off of small businesses.
Not even going to go.
Right, yes, let's get off politics just for a short while. Might bring
just for a short while. We haven't even touched on the budget there, have we? I mean, come on, tax on jobs. Oh dear. I mean, in terms of what's coming in 2025, I think return to inflation. We will see some businesses disappearing. We already have. We're recording this 3 weeks post budget, and we've already seen several businesses say, "Nope, that's it for me. I'm done. This is the final nail in the coffin." There'll be changes. There'll be amendments. I'm sure there might be some U-turns, but there will be some casualties of this. I think unemployment will rear its head in 2025. It's something we haven't seen, I think, in a generation.
What's it, the last Labour government?
I'm not getting political on this podcast.
You sound very political, John. You set them off, I'll knock them down.
Okay. No, it's got nothing to do with political generations, but you have had about 15 years of historically very, very low interest rates. So it's very, very cheap to borrow money and employ people. At the exact point whereby employing people has got very expensive because we've just had several years of compounded wage inflation, we've now going to have above inflation rises to the minimum wage, particularly 18 plus. I'm sorry for anyone who's in the hospitality sector. I know you've had it really easy these last 4 or 5 years, haven't you? Jeez. I just don't see any other way. And it, coupled with, as we talked about in last year's podcast, the rise of AI, suddenly all those, dare I say, admin-y kind of mundane jobs that can be automated and can be done by AI. Would you want to pay someone £15 an hour to do that? Sorry, £15 an hour plus national insurance. Or do you want to pay ChatGPT $20 a month for the same thing? I just see, well, already we are seeing it, aren't we, where firms are saying, I'm not hiring. We're scaling back on our employment. We're going to reduce wage increases. We're going to increase prices. The old adage of expense walks on 2 feet, never more true than right now.
Totally. So controlling the controllables?
Absolutely.
It was your word of the year.
It was. Look, I mean, I don't know if we saw this. We didn't see it on the Christmas special last year, but Michelle Marsden, one of our 1%ers, had made me a little coaster with the word controllable on it and our 1% Club logo. And it's been on my desk to remind me of my word of the year, controllable, ever since.
And you are controllable now, is that right?
I am never controllable. I shall never be controlled.
And mine was opportunities. And yeah, so that was opportunities.
So you've been seeking opportunities, you've been taking opportunities, you've been helping others with opportunities.
All of the above, yeah. Helping lots, obviously, within the club to seek, their opportunities and make those things happen for them, which is amazing. Charity side was the first year we've gone above £100,000 of fundraising, so that was £106,000 we finished this year. That was a massive opportunity which I took and ran with, and maximised all of that, which was great. Lots of opportunities.
So how do you, obviously I just sort of got my little coaster there, I'm literally, even now, looking at the word controllable, how do you nudge yourself back to that mantra, that word of the year, when it's the middle of June and everything else is going on around you? How do you go, opportunities? Have you got a nudge? Have you got any anchors that you use to remind yourself?
Do you remember a few years ago, and every year since, we've talked about friction goggles?
Mm-hmm.
It's about wearing opportunity goggles. And actually keeping your eyes open and
Opportunity
open in mind.
goggles.
And actually, how can I make this a good thing? What can we make out of this? Whatever it might be. How can we turn this around and make it positive? And it sounds crazy to do and really difficult and stuff. But actually, once you start doing it, it's one of those things that you can just kind of do and see. And you just spot them around. Whether you take advantage of them is another matter, but you don't take advantage of every single one. But actually, my word of the year was to make more of these opportunities that are always around. and that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
I love that, opportunity goggles. As a writer as well, just that little phrase, it's a really, really nice phrase. Opportunity goggles. I reckon we found the title of your book there.
Have you? Well done, you.
Yeah.
I wasn't even looking.
Well, if you'd had your opportunity goggles on. Oh dear. So if you were to lend your opportunity goggles to Sir Keir Starmer, what do you think he might spot that he's not currently spotting? What could he currently do and say, look?
We're going back to politics already so soon.
or whoever. Donald Trump's just coming in. Let's avoid all politics together. Donald Trump's just coming back into America now. He's got his opportunity goggles on, hasn't he?
Well, it's been an opportunity for loads, hasn't it, really? Anyone who's investing in the stocks and shares of the American companies have seen their dividends paying up fortunes. And
not all of the American companies. The environmentally focused ones.
Near to Donald Trump, maybe. But there's definitely opportunities to be had there.
Yeah.
But he's got an opportunity because, the kind of type of person he is, he's got that opportunity to make America great again. Don't know about the rest of the world, and that for me is a bit tricky. But for America, it should be a new dawn kind of thing. It should be an opportunity for them to become a better country again that they perhaps have slipped past a few times. So opportunity-wise, it's an opportunity, isn't it? And that's what I guess the American people saw, and that's why they voted for him as opposed to the Oppo.
Isn't that what Trump's really good at, though, is he has got those opportunity goggles and he's just gone to all of his supporters, have a look through these. Come on, this is what your life could look like if you get me back in. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll rip that up. We'll get rid of that thing that's no good. We'll finally build the wall. We'll get all of that done. And like you said, make America great again. I mean, the line of, just ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Mm-hmm. That's the opportunity goggles. It's like, these guys are failing. We can do a better job. And here's the job we would do. It's not just about bashing the other guy or girl, as it ended up being, but it is about portraying that positive vision for the future. And that is how I think we can bring it back maybe to away from politics and back to small business. I know you keep dragging me towards politics.
I don't think I have. I am going to, but not yet. Oh dear. I know what's funny. That's funny.
But as small business owners, I think you are the visionary for your business, and you have to be able to communicate, this is how I think the world should be, or my little world that I've created with my business. And this is how much better, dear prospect, your life could be if we work together. Opportunity goggles.
I need to move on. Just because we're stealing a load of content for the next piece.
Oh, okay. Now you're really intriguing me as to what the next piece is then.
Book of the year.
Okay.
Book of the year. Just because you've stolen a load of content from that, I thought we better just move straight on to my book of the year.
Yeah.
Which, bit of a curveball probably, not completely a business book, but actually has pretty much encompassed everything we've talked about so far in this call, was Boris Johnson's book, Unleashed. His memoirs from his time as London Mayor and Prime Minister for his time he was there. So very interesting.
Is he not Prime Minister anymore?
Mate, no.
Must have missed that.
We've just been talking about Keir Starmer. You know he's not. Don't be silly. But again, we were talking about that vision piece and that vision and values coming through. And for him, it was that big vision. He had the big sky, the blue sky thinking. He had the dreams. He had the vision of what he thought Britain should be like. And he was a damn good communicator of what that vision was. And people fell behind him and said, yeah, we want a piece of this. We want that good news story. We want that thing to hope for, that thing to dream for. And he was really good at providing that to masses of the population. That's how he kind of overturned a Labour city in London and became the first, or one of the most successful Tory mayors of London, for example, as he has that vision and value. And yep, some of it was extreme and some of it was bizarre, but actually that shoot for the moon stuff, the building a garden bridge or a bridge between the UK and Ireland, those kind of blue sky thinking type stuff is here's a problem we've got. Let's think of some suggestions we can do for that. And throughout the book, it's littered with all those kind of big ideas that he had, and that he could convince others to take part in and to do. Some of them could work, some of them weren't going to work. He knew how to assess those and actually which ones to drop and which ones to kind of go with. But yeah, just a really interesting take from his time and the successes and things that he had. Obviously, it's very Boris Johnson-esque, so it is a lot of trumpet blowing in terms of his own. But that said, there's things you probably didn't know about it as well. And it's really interesting to hear the other side. And I found myself so many times screaming at Audible and saying, why didn't you say this at the time? Why didn't we know this at the time? All we hear is, all you've allowed to do is the media to fill a big vacuum and tell a story that isn't true. And if your account is truer, it's kind of, we all hear is all of these things, and it's kind of like, why hadn't you at the time said, actually, this is complete baloney and it's actually a load of rubbish and this is what it's about, But yeah, for me, it was again back to that vision, having a broad sky vision, getting behind Ukraine or getting behind the COVID or getting behind British business, whatever those things were for him. It was conveyed very well and in a great way. That people could get behind and understand the message and get behind it. Even the 3-word things. Even those 3-word things. Again, I've had those conversations through this year with different people. Again, when you're thinking about those vision values of your own business, is actually what 3 words would describe it if you were to choose 3 words, because 3 words tend to work very well, much like our COVID strategy was based on 3 words, hands, face, space, and all of those kind of things that we kind of heard, and save energy, stay home, and save lives, all of the 3 things, wasn't it? So it was, just really good at communicating, I think. Things he did least well, trusted too many people that didn't really have his interest at heart, didn't have the country's interest at heart, and were a bit self-serving, a bit too loyal to those who shouldn't have been, and got the wrong team around him at times. But yeah, let's say when you think people who didn't share his vision and values, and that's when things didn't kind of work out very well for him. But that's interesting. Yeah. So that was my book of the year.
Yeah, because imagine some of the scrapes he got himself into. If that had been Trump, well, those people would have been gone. Like, right, you're not with me, right? You're gone. Ruthless. I don't care how long you've been with me or how close my advisor you are. You're gone. It doesn't surprise me that you say about Boris Johnson being a great orator. I have read one of his books before, which was a biography of Winston Churchill. I know he's a massive fan of Winston Churchill. He studied just about everything about the man. And if there's one thing you can say about Churchill, it was that he knew how to give a good speech. And so, that ability to communicate and ability to have that strong conviction in your values and what you believe things should look like. As you said, painting a vision, but also a simple vision. We talked, obviously, that in the last year we've lost Charlie Munger as well. And his thing about taking a simple idea and taking it seriously. Well, condensing that really complex thing of running the country down to 3 words and making sure that everyone knows those 3 words and everyone knows that this is what we're doing. I think the Johnson's election was get Brexit done. That was what most people wanted at the time. It was like, all right, we've argued over it for 2 years, 3 years. Let's just get it done, right? That's the slogan. And it was, as you said, 3 words, very clear. This is what we're going to do. I do wonder, and you said about you're screaming at Audible, why didn't he say this at the time? I wonder if that is the media editing. There's a famous, if you've ever seen the YouTube clip of Ed Miliband answering 10 different questions with the same answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was explained by a journalist. He said, well, the reason he's done that is because he knows that only one of those clips will be used as a soundbite on the radio and on the TV. And it will be, bong, 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 news at 10. Ed Miliband said this, 3 seconds of clip, done. He might have given a 10-minute interview, and he wants to control the one bit that is used. So he just uses the same bit every again. He's like, right, here's the clip. I want you to use this bit. And he just repeated that over and over again. Theresa May did the same, strong and stable. It is difficult. I mean, if you don't control the media, and for small business owners, this is a bit like building your presence on Facebook, where maybe you don't own and control that. We've done that, been kicked off, building your entire model around SEO and that being taken away. If you don't control the land, you don't control the message.
Yep. So yes, plenty of other things to take out of that book, but will that do you for now?
I think so. That's an interesting one. That I'd say not
storytelling. That's one of his great things. Resilience. That's another good thing for business. Turning adversity into opportunity. Put my opportunity.
So is it Churchill you're saying again?
Opportunity out of adversity. COVID. That was a great opportunity for business and things like that. That kind of actually they saw it. Championing stuff. Brexit was a great opportunity that he saw that we needed to follow through. Others didn't, obviously, which is why we still haven't really got anything from Brexit. But yeah, very interesting. But loads of different things. If you're a Boris hater, you'll probably still hate him by the end of the book, but you'll understand something of what he was thinking at the time, I think. If you love Boris, you're going to love it anyway. You're going to reaffirm that he's going to be our next leader of the Conservative Party once Kemi Badenoch's not with us anymore. Which probably won't be very long.
Oh, yeah. We're not getting political on this podcast, I told you.
Sorry,
they explain on there how to throw the world's lamest party, which ends up costing you your job.
That is another one, yep.
I better go on to my books of the year before we get too
How about embracing controversy to stand out? Yep.
Yeah, my books there, I've got a short list as always.
Of one?
Do you just want one?
Yeah, your top book. That's all I've done.
Okay,
it's just
top
one.
book then. All right, top book is... Straight into it then, why not?
Drum
roll, please. Crap drum roll. Hopefully Lee will do better than this, but I'm on the top of it. It's Die With Zero by Bill Perkins. It was our book of the month back in, I want to say May or June time for the 1% Club. And I really, really wasn't sure whether to recommend it to the 1%ers because it's not, much like yours, it's not really a business book. It's an investment book. But I'm so glad I did. And the people we had on the call ranged from people in their 20s to people in their 60s. And every single one of them said, so glad I had that book. It's a book I wish I'd read earlier, or it's a book I'm glad I've read in my 20s. It's basically about retirement planning. It's about consciously thinking about saving and investing for retirement, but then knowing when retirement is, what it looks like, and how you actually spend your money down so that, as I think Bill Perkins says, that your last check should go to the funeral home and it should bounce. Because what most people do is they either don't save at all for their retirement and then they get to 65, 67 and suddenly find they haven't got a winter fuel allowance. We're not getting political. Stop making me get political. Or they get to 80 years old and they've still got 2 million quid in the bank and they refuse to put another bar on the fire, even though they've got 2 million quid in the bank, because, well, that's the kid's inheritance. Don't even get me started on inheritance tax.
It's okay, you're not a farmer yet.
No, exactly. No chance of me being a farmer. Not a chance. Not after seeing Clarkson. But it's this idea that, most people get it wrong when they are planning their retirement. They just go, well, I'm going to save for the future. And a few things that made it from there were that you actually should start spending your money down in your 50s, not any later, because most people leave it way too late. The average age of someone who inherits money is 67 years old. So if you're going to pass stuff on to your kids, do it when they actually need the money and they need that first deposit for a house, or they need to start their business, or they need to be put through university, or they need to build out of debt, or whatever they need, which is probably in their 20s and 30s rather than in their nearly 70s when they don't need the money either. And it was just, really, really got me thinking about, again, yes, we're getting old, but it really got me thinking about, well, actually, what are my 50s and 60s going to look like? What do I need to do now to lay the foundations for that? And when do I decide to actually book? I mean, for me, it's travel. I just want to book all those trips. I want to go to Alaska. So much of America that I want to go and see and explore. And at the moment, it's just, that's for the future. That's for retirement. Well, when does retirement start? Is it 65? No, is it bollocks? It'll be in a few years' time. And I know you're obviously looking at heading off to sunnier climes. So I think it's a similar story, similar experience for you, isn't it? It's kind of, why put this off until, a generation from now, when you're actually at retirement age? Well, you might not have your health then. You might not have as much energy then. You're going to have time, money, and energy for the next decade. This should be, as they say, your golden decade.
Yes, definitely. Let's hope so. I was just thinking, I was reflecting. It's a hope. Who knew that? I was just thinking that last year's book of the year for you was Outlive, and that's all about longevity and stuff. And now you've picked another book that's about the future. Is it because we're getting old? Is it because giving some thoughts to those final third of your life? I'm not sure. I'm just interested, John.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think I am becoming more and more aware of my own mortality and my own longevity. I can't think what it was. Something that happened the other day, and it was a comment someone made about, now that I'm 60, I'm not got the energy, or I can't be dealing with this, or I haven't got the capacity to cope with this. And I'm like, that's only 13 years away. And I go back 13 years when I was 34 and think, well, that didn't seem that long ago. Mm. It's like, life is ticking on pretty rapidly. And I don't want to get there by accident. I want to live as a 60-year-old very deliberately because of the foundations I laid when I was 47, or when I was 34, or when I was 25 years old, or whatever, Yeah.
You're not even halfway, when you're 60, you're going to be halfway to where you're getting to, aren't you?
Well, exactly. That's my
the
thinking.
thing. 123 is still halfway there.
Yeah. I plan on living to 123, and that's the Outlive thing, but that was interesting. So I did combine the two books. So Outlive is like, cool, right, I'm going to live to 123. Die with Zero says, no, you're not. Average age is 85. You might make it to 90, 95. So I need to combine the two and go, okay, if I live to 123, I need to live to 123 and not run out of money. But if I don't make it to 123 and I only make it to 90, I don't need to die with way too much money in the bank.
30 years of extra money.
Exactly.
So that's a quandary and a half, isn't it?
Exactly. But I feel the closer you get to the end, the more you're going to get an inkling of how long you got left. Right now, I feel 123, no worries. I could get to 80 and I look at my parents in their early 80s and think, don't envisage them saying, we've got another 50 years or 30 years or 40 years. I don't envisage that. I think you get an inkling of how your health is, how much capacity you've got to put up with the nonsense that goes on around the world. And you plan accordingly. But again, we are a different generation. We have got assets. We have got a business. We've got, my dad ran a very physical job, and he had to stop work when he physically couldn't do his job anymore. I write books and we jump on Zoom calls and chat to people. I think we could do that up until 122 and a half.
122 and a half. Okay, you have 6 months off. Yay!
I'm going to have 6 months, put my feet up, and then croak it. I'm going to spend all my money down so I pay zero inheritance tax.
Awesome. Oh, dear. What were your other
So
two?
we better look at words of the year for next year, hadn't we?
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask you what were your other two. You don't need to do a big sort of sermon about it.
What were they? Make Time. Jake Knapp and John Zaratsky. Productivity book that I read back in April. Didn't think I needed another productivity book, but it was brilliant. And the other one was Never Lose a Customer Again, Joey Coleman. That was a reread because obviously I'm writing a book about retention, and I thought, I'll have another read of that book. Really enjoyed that. And it, once again, was brilliant. Love that book.
Lots of gold nuggets in that book, isn't there? And did you know, and I didn't, because I recommend it's one of the 1%ers who are having staffing issues and stuff like that. And said, if you have a look at that, but look at it from a staffing point of view, then you'll get some nuggets out of there that you can apply to retention for staff as well as onboarding and all that kind of stuff. And this person said, he's only gone and done one about staff, so there is how to never lose another staff member again, which I didn't know.
Never lose an employee again. That's it.
Employee again. That's it. Yeah. So that was really good. So it's much like the same content, but just change, trying to replace a customer with employee.
That's all he's done. Yeah. Control F, customer, employee, easy.
Yeah, sorry, Joey. It's probably a bit more in depth than that, but
we might have done you a little bit of a disservice there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on! What's your word of the year for?
Word of the year for me is going to be destiny. I think.
Destiny.
You haven't even mentioned it yet, but I'm turning 50 before this podcast goes out, or just after this podcast.
Just after, yeah.
Christmas Eve, for any of those who know and want to send me something, that's great. Christmas Eve, yeah, is my 50th, but we've already talked about changes and stuff like that in our summer special and stuff, and so next year it's about finding destiny, finding destination, finding lots of things beginning with D.
So is that destiny as in what is meant to be? Are you going to be open to listening to
exactly that
intuition?
Yeah. What? Exactly, yeah. Finding that destiny. I think really just deciding what that kind of looks like, working out what's right, what's wrong, listening to other people, being inspired by them or uninspired by them, whichever way around it needs to be, and helping to forge the next part of my life. Yeah, so I've done 2 of these 25 years, 2 quarters. I've got another. Let's see what the third quarter is going to be like.
What, so you're only under 75? Hang on, now it's third.
That's the third quarter. I never said how many quarters there were going to be. That's only the third quarter, yeah. So, destiny.
Yeah, that's interesting. And of course, for those local to us, there used to be a nightclub called Destiny, which...
Yeah,
I'm sure that's where you spent most of your carpet. That was more jesters.
That was sticky everything.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, you don't want to find your destiny in there on a Saturday night. That's for sure. Oh dear. I think my destiny next year. Bear in mind, like I say, I've spoken so much about you moving to Forteventura. My destiny is to learn how to spell Forteventura because I get it wrong every time.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I think I put an extra R in there.
Where?
Forteventura. It's because I'm a Jana.
Ah, it's Pirates. Pirates.
Yeah, Forteventura.
Forteventura.
Sorry, they went Irish.
Pirate edition. Nice. That might be the way to get into Ireland. On a little dinghy. I'm not doing politics.
Don't do politics. Stop the boat. Another 3-word thing. I think we've cottoned on to it here, haven't we?
We have, indeed.
Perhaps we need to stop having 1 word at the end. We need to have 3 words.
Well, it's better than Tony Blair's. He picked the same 3. He went for education.
Education, yeah.
Yes. Had a little bit of change around.
Oh, dear. Or, yeah, weapons of mass destruction. Is that technically 4?
Don't count the little ones.
Not getting politico. Stop it.
Okay, I won't.
Oh, dear. So my word of the year for next year is one that's very familiar to listeners of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. It's in our title.
Business?
It's the word... Sorry?
Business?
Business is not business, no. It's the word ambitious, but I'm playing with it a little bit. I'm putting it in parenthesis. I'm putting it in brackets because I've realized, and we've had this conversation, I know, several times over the years, that every now and then my ambition gets away with me and I end up getting stressed, getting overwhelmed, just taking on way too much and then going, why do I want to do that? I need to get back to the lifestyle business. So I explained this on a LinkedIn post recently that I now see myself as a lifestyle business owner with ambition, as opposed to an ambitious business owner with a nice lifestyle. So the lifestyle, even though this podcast is called the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, for me, lifestyle comes before ambition now. So I'm relegating my ambition to in brackets. So I am now a, quote, ambitious lifestyle business owner.
Nice.
Still ambitious, but I am
not a lazy
keep
entrepreneur. Then no, we're not resurrecting that one.
We're not going back there. Although, no, technically, I never really liked that as, yeah, it just suddenly didn't chime with
well, you weren't lazy, were
entrepreneur.
you? That's the thing.
Well, no, I mean, you say lazy, and I'm just knocking out my 5th book now. And when I stack those books up and think I've written every bloody word of those books, and you say we've created 500 podcasts, it's like, it's not lazy.
No.
I always say I work hard so that I don't have to work hard. And I think, and maybe other listeners will read more into this, having been a bit detached from us, and we've just talked about living to 123 and planning for the future. So much of what I do is I work hard now so that at some point in the future, either when I can't work hard or I just have had enough of this and I do just go, well, I'm getting too old for this shit. I have the freedom, I have the ability to just go, yep, shutting it down, going off, selling up, put my feet up, tipping everything over, literally throwing the podcast down, like, nope, not doing this anymore.
You're taking up pipe smoking, slippers. You can have the whole lot.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I'm going to be a grumpy old man as opposed to just a grumpy man.
I won't have a conversation with Sarah about that, yeah. So here we are, Christmas. And not one mention of Noddy this year.
I know. 52 years this year, you know. 52 years of £500,000 a year from one evergreen asset.
Have yourselves the best Christmas and start that planning for that new year, and let us smash 2025 with a lot of destiny and a little less ambition.
Hey, nicely done.
Take care of yourselves. See each other. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.